Welcome back to Finance Dev. Today I want to discuss about one question I get asked a lot. Where do I park the money which I don't need immediately but which I will need in a shorter term, like let us say 3 months or 6 months. The requirement could be anything. You could be saving for your marriage, or you want to buy a car in 12 months and you want to save for the down payment, or you could be saving for the down payment for your house. This video is not about finding a single solution to park your short term money, but it is about finding the right tool for the time by which you will need the money. Before getting into the framework, right, let us discuss about two mistakes people do. First one is putting everything in savings accounts. So what is the problem with this, right? The problem with this approach, right? The inflation will quietly eat up your money. And the second problem is people will go extreme. They will go ahead and invest in equity. So when you need that money, right, if the markets are down 10-20%, right, your money is locked in there. You won't be ready to exit in loss, but you will need the money, so you will be forced to exit in loss. Both the mistakes come with the one root cause, that is, no one asks when do I need this money. So that is the first question we want to answer. By when do you need the money? Then only you have to go where should I park that money. So here is the framework I use. It is very simple. I divide this time into three different buckets. Bucket one is under 3 months. So this is where your emergency fund or money you will need immediately will go to. Bucket two is 3 months to 1 year. This is where your money you're saving for your particular goals, like purchasing a car after 6 months or your wedding coming up in the next 12 months will go. Bucket three is 1 to 3 years. Let us say in 2 years down the line, right? You're planning to buy a house and you're saving for the down payment of that house. So that is the third bucket, and each bucket, right, has its own product. And mixing these buckets and the products is where people go wrong. So first, let us look where you should park the money you would need immediately. So the best answer here is just put it in the savings account. Most banks will give you 2.5 to 3% returns, and of course it doesn't beat inflation, but here beating inflation or producing returns is not the goal. Single primary goal of this bucket is have accessibility. Now let us say you're not happy with this 2.5 to 3% returns, right, and you want that extra returns so that you can meet inflation. Then you can go for something called sweep in or sweep out FDs. So depending on the bank it will be different. So the concept is simple. Let us say you have excess amount in your savings account, right, that will be swept out and an FD will be created. So you'll get that 7 to 7.5 percentage whatever FD returns is going on, right, you will get that interest. So the advantage of this sweep in or sweep out FDs is you get the same liquidity, but you get better returns. There is no lock in or anything on this sweep in or sweep out FDs. So as soon as your savings account balance goes down below threshold which you will be setting, the amount from the FD, whatever balance amount is there, right, that will be credited to your savings account from the FD, and no banks won't you charge any penalty for this. And one more thing worth mentioning is you might have seen a lot of people will opt for liquid mutual funds, and these days even brokers give you liquidity, and I think you can instantly withdraw up to 50,000 even when the market is not open, like weekends or during the night as well. But I personally do not prefer liquid mutual funds because it doesn't add any value over FD. Because if you consider today's taxation, right, both FD as well as liquid mutual funds are taxed the same. There is no advantage of adding it to liquid mutual fund compared to something like auto sweep in or sweep out FD. And coming to bucket two, when you want to save for funds you might require from 3 to 6 months or 3 to 1 year, right, you can consider short-term FDs or even liquid mutual funds. Short-term FDs will give you from anywhere between 5.5 to 6.75 percentage returns depending on your tenure, and you can look for even small finance banks as well. I personally do not put my money on small finance banks. I always go for nationalized major banks. And of course you might know the problem with the FD is you break it early and you'll have to pay 0.5 to 1 percentage of the interest as penalty. So to avoid that, right, you can go for liquid funds or money market funds. Again, it varies from broker to broker. If you're doing directly through AMC, right, up to 50,000 you can withdraw instantly, and some brokers like Zerodha also provide this facility. Of course, this is not a fund that you will require immediately, so you are in the second bucket, that is 3 months to 1 year. So you will know when that goal is approaching, right? You can plan that, and if you are putting in a liquid fund, right, you can raise a withdrawal request in 1 to 2 days, right? It will be redeemed. So for 2 months to 12 months horizon, right, the liquid mutual funds is the best option here. And coming to the tax, which I was discussing earlier, right? So earlier debt funds had advantage of indexation. I'm not going to the details what is indexation because it is not relevant anymore after April 2023, right? Debt mutual funds like liquid funds or short-term or long-term bonds are treated same as FD, so both have same kind of taxation, but the flexibility is better in liquid mutual funds compared to FD. Now coming to 1 to 3 years horizon, right? So what is arbitrage fund, right? To simplify, it will buy wherever the price is cheap and sell wherever price is higher. So there will be slight gap in the price. That price gap is where arbitrage funds will capitalize that. So in reality, right, they will buy in cash market and sell in futures market. I won't go in details on the technicalities of arbitrage funds. So basically understand this, even though arbitrage funds trade in equity segment, they are safe because it's completely hedged. Only when the fund managers see an opportunity, they will do this trade and capture that difference or arbitrage. It takes the advantage of both the worlds, the taxation of an equity fund and the volatility of a debt fund. And coming to taxation, right, if you sell this arbitrage fund within a year, you'll be taxed at 20%, that is STCG for an equity fund. And if you're holding over 1 year, right, you'll be taxed at 12.5% only for the profit exceeding 1.25 lakhs. And if you want to find out which arbitrage fund you want to invest, right, you can go to my website FinanceDeft. I'll give you a link in the description below, and you can go to mutual funds, and from subcategory, right, you can select arbitrage fund and apply filters. You can sort by returns here. Let us say I want to see by highest 3-year returns. You can get different funds. Of course, this is not an advice. You'll have to do your own research. So that is a big advantage of arbitrage fund. I have a lot of funds in arbitrage fund because of course already you're just meeting inflation with the FD, and you're losing if you're in the highest tax bracket, right, you're losing 30% in taxes. So you'll hardly earn 4 to 4.5% absolute returns in FD. But coming to arbitrage fund, right, let us say the fund gives you 7%, right, and 12.5% of 7, I think it comes around 1%. So it will be 6%. So compare that to 4.5% of FD and 6% of arbitrage fund. So you get that 1.5% extra. And one more advantage of arbitrage fund, right, you'll have to pay taxes only when you sell. It's not like FD. You'll have to pay tax every year. It doesn't matter whether the interest gets credited to your savings account or it gets accumulated, and even if it is a 5-year FD, right, you'll have to pay tax on the interest every year. So those are the two advantages of holding money in arbitrage fund. So this is a quick tax comparison slide. As I've told, right, after the 30% cut, you will get 4.9% in an FD. In arbitrage fund, right, even if you hold less than 1 year, it is a 20% STCG, so it is 5.6% post-tax return. And if you hold more than 1 year, it will be 6.1. Yeah, this considers a 7% pre-tax return. I mean, the math I told before, I was doing in my mind. I wasn't looking at the actual numbers, so I think I got it almost right. So let us match the different tools with the time frame. First is savings or sweep in FD. So it will have instant liquidity, and it is taxed at a slab rate, and it is best when you want the money immediately or within 3 months. Next is a short-term FD. Liquidity is slightly lower compared to that of savings or a sweep in FD, and we have got that penalty thing, and you can opt this whenever you need money, anywhere between 3 months to 1 year. Next is a liquid fund. Again, the liquidity, as I've told, varies from broker to broker, AMC to AMC. So you can consider the max liquidity like 1 to 2 days you'll get the money, and the returns is similar to that of short-term FD. Again, taxed at tax slab, again suitable for anything between 3 months to 12 months. Finally, the arbitrage fund, the liquidity is 1 to 2 days. Again, returns is slightly higher than that of liquid fund. funds. And best thing of arbitrage fund is the taxation, and it is best when you want to park money for more than 1 year. And this is how I split my own money. 3 month buffer means I'll put it in a sweep in FD linked to my savings account. I have HDFC bank account. I personally don't like this sweep in FD. I prefer sweep out FD. That is, let us say you want to maintain 1 lakh in your savings account, and whenever the money is more than 1 lakh, right, it gets converted into FD. I prefer that one, but I had to get used to this sweep in FD. I usually maintain that minimum balance so it never gets into a situation that the FD will get converted into savings account. So I think I'll have to get used to that. Then 6 to 9 months goal, then I'll put it in a liquid fund, and 1 to 2 years or 1 to 3 years, right, it will sit in an arbitrage fund. And to conclude, this is not an investment advice. You have to do your own research. If you have any doubts, then consult a fee only financial planner. And it took me a few years to come into this framework. So if you have liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I have other videos in the channel. Please do check them out, and I will see you in another video.